Hello everybody, but welcome to Auditing Reno 911. This is Drew, and I'm going to do something a little bit different than what I've been doing before. I'm going to start sharing a lot of emails. This series is going to be a series. I've got a lot of emails to share, and my goal in doing this is for you, the audience, the people, to pick out the crimes that the state of Nevada employees have made, and then well, you can go file a complaint and take part in hopefully fixing our system. So if you see a crime that I'm exposing based on the language of the law and the black and white of the emails, go ahead and there's a link at the bottom here in the description of this video for the Nevada Attorney General's complaint site and the Federal Bureau of Investigation. I believe that there are federal crimes and state crimes that have been committed by our Nevada DMV. And who you're looking at here on the screen is a picture of our DMV director. Her name is Julie Butler. And she is the director of the Nevada DMV, who has a vision statement to be a national leader in DMV services. Their mission is to provide efficient motor vehicle solutions for the identification, licensure, and protection of all we serve. Essentially, in my opinion, they're just a tax collection agency, and they brag about that up here. They collect $1.6 billion in revenue each year. What they do with our money is they help ensure highway safety, administer financial responsibility laws, got to carry insurance, got to give big insurance your money, license and regulate the vehicle industry, including dealers, salespeople. Salespeople have to have a license to sell cars, rental car companies, manufacturers, emission inspection stations, investigate consumer complaints, investigate identity theft, collect all Nevada fuel tax, including aviation fuel, collect governmental taxes to help fund local government and schools. And anyways, as we go down here, here's their leadership, and you guys can contact them. Here's Director Butler's information, and I'll post a link to her email in the description again. Field Services, Serena Gallegos. Central Services, Jessica Vargas. We'll talk a bit about her. She's in a lot of emails here. Compliance Enforcement, Mr. J.D. Decker. You met him in my previous video with the AB 57 law that came into effect July 1st in the state of Nevada. And that's going to be very critical in some of the documents I'm going to be sharing with you. And as a matter of fact, why don't we just go to that document first so we can understand some of these words that became law in our most recent session. And that's where you guys are going to have to make a decision to file a complaint or not file a complaint. Did the state of Nevada break some laws? And let's see what they may or may not have broken here. Let's see if I can get us to the right screen. Here we go. Okay, so what this is right here that we're looking at, this was dated June 16th of 2023. Now make sure we pay attention to the dates. The dates are all very important in this for Assembly Bill 57. And I'm going to skip right ahead here and go to one of the critical issues. And remember, this law came into effect July 1st of 2023. And the blue parts are the changes in the law. And so number 3 is a lien claimant may cause a motor vehicle, aircraft, yada yada. Let's go through and read that. To be mobile home to be sold at a public auction, and every aspect of the sale must be made pursuant to subsection 2 or 3, including limitation, method, advertising, yada, yada, yada. The important part, though, that they added here, this is what I want you to pay attention to, this language. A third-party purchaser in an arm's-length transaction. A third-party purchaser, okay, so that became law in 2023. So why is that important? Well, let's go take a look at some emails here. So what emails do we have to share? What emails do we have to share? Oh, right here. Here we go. Okay, so this is a string of emails. What I did is I went to DMV and I did a public records request. That's under NRS 239. And I looked back at 5 years of lien sale history and complaints. And I got all their emails that had to do with lien sales. And so the interesting thing here is on December 13th of 2019, an email from James Robinson. He's a sergeant with the DMV Police Department, and they seized all of the lien packets prior to any processing. The law enforcement arm of the Department of Motor Vehicles seized every single lien packet, title application in the state of Nevada. Under what reasonable belief was there a crime? That's not my real issue here. Let's get going down to the bottom of the email here. They talk about, in October 15th, 2020, more information that they should be looking for when they're processing liens, and they go through a bunch of stuff up here. But let's really go down here. Now remember that language in the law. So here we go. Here's a form dated December 4th, 2020, sent to Western States Towing in Las Vegas, Nevada, regarding a 1986 Chevrolet Suburban. And they are telling this towing operator that they are unable to process their title request because The vehicle must be sold at a competitive auction and to a third party, and this is per revised statute 108-272, section 3D, and 108-26797. But how could this be? The law went into effect on July 1st of 2023, and this is, let me see, December 4th of 2020, December 4th of 2021, December 4th of 2020. So 2.5 years ago, they started enforcing a law that didn't exist. How did that happen? Well, let's look into that. So this form, lo and behold, I found a copy of it, and here it is, December 4th, 2020, lien sales. And here's that language again. Let's go look at what NRS 108-272 is. Let's see if I can find that for us real quick. NRS 108-272. There it is, right there. And 272 is a note, says notice. NRS 18272, except as otherwise provided in, okay, and I think they said, if I recall, let's go back and look at this again. 108272, I thought they said like 3D, didn't they, in that other one? Perhaps I'm missing it. Yep, 3D. Okay, 3D is what we need to go look at. So 3, section 3, and D. So a statement that unless a claim is paid within the time specified, the motor vehicle, aircraft, motor, blah, 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 blah. Really gets boring reading some of these things. But anyways, 108272, section 3D doesn't say anything about the words that they got there. They also said something about another law. And what is that law that the DMV is enforcing here? And that's 108-26797. So 108-26797, 26797, here we go. The Department of Motor Vehicles, adoption of regulations to ensure compliance with laws relating to processing of liens. Okay, the Nevada Department of Motor Vehicles can adopt regulations. Cool. Well, what is a regulation? That's a good question. What is a regulation? So let's go here. This is NRS 233B, Nevada Administrative Procedures Act, General Provisions. So anyways, what this law tells you is the lawful process, the due process, now that's an important word, due process, of how to create regulations, because we're all entitled to due process under the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution, right? So here's the United States Constitution. Under Section 1, Amendment 14, all persons born or naturalized in the United States, subject to the jurisdiction thereof, are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. Welcome to Nevada, I reside here. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States. Shall make or enforce any law. That's an important thing. Right? Nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of law. Okay, so you have to have due process to create a law. So that's what NRS 233B is. So regulation. What is a regulation? So regulation defined. Let's go here. Regulation defined means exactly this. An agency rule, standard, directive, or statement of general applicability which effectuates or interprets law or policy or describes the organization, procedure, or practice requirements of any agency. So is this letter that they sent out to Western States Towing, is this a directive? Is this an instructions? Does this interpret law? Well, obviously, because the director said right here in NRS 108-26797 that it's a regulation because she can make regulations. That's kind of interesting. So let me see. We had the law with this language go into effect July 1st of 2023. But they had this. So anyways, did they ever try to do a regulation making meeting? Let's ask that question. Did they try to do a regulation making meeting? So let's go here. I think they tried to do a regulation making meeting back on, here we go, proposed regulations of the Nevada Department of Motor Vehicles, September 22nd, 2022. Would we all agree that December of 2020 came before September 22nd of 2022? Interesting. Yeah, I think we could agree to that. But let's look at the language. Anyways, let's go down here to B. A third-party purchaser of a vehicle acquired through lien may not until the department's completed lien sale title transfer must have a fair market value at an auction. Here they go and tell you how to describe a fair market value. So they were trying to make regulations for third parties. Right here, may sell directly to a third party through an arm's length transaction. So they were trying to enforce this law in 2020, and then in 2022 they decided to try to make a regulation. And then finally in 2023 they got it made as a law, but they were enforcing it before that. So my question to everybody, was this a violation of our constitutional rights under the 14th Amendment, due process? Was this a constitutional violation under Nevada's constitution? Because what were they trying to do here? Were they trying to withhold property from people? Let's go look at Nevada's constitution. Here's the Constitution of the state of Nevada. We're going to go to number 1, the Declaration of Rights. Then we're going to go to number 1, inalienable rights, which is right here, section 1. So Article 1, section 1, Nevada Constitution. All men are by nature free and equal and have certain inalienable rights, among those which are those of enjoying and defending life and liberty, acquiring, possessing, and protecting property, and pursuing and obtaining safety and happiness. So right here, acquiring, possessing, and protecting property. Did the Nevada DMV violate the Constitution by refusing to issue titles and allowing people to acquire property with a regulation that they made up without any due process of NRS 233B, and violate the Constitution of the state of Nevada and the United States of America, the 14th Amendment? In my opinion, they did. I don't think you can go and enforce a law before it's a law. And here's Mr. J.D. Decker. So anyways, he's the guy that was in my other video. Again, another link in this video for that one if you want to go watch it. But let's go back to this document right here. Now, the interesting thing about this document in Word is you can go up here and you notice that it's locked up. You can go to this section called Info. Let's see what this information has. Oh, look. K. Malone. K. Malone is the person that authored the document, and James Robinson last modified it. So who is K. Malone? Well, K. Malone, I've discovered, is an attorney for the state of Nevada with the Attorney General's office. And we've already seen Mr. James Robinson. Mr. James Robinson, well, he is, let's see if I can get back to this one there. There it is, Mr. James Robinson. He was up here. He's the guy that seized every single lien sale title application in the state of Nevada for investigation by law enforcement. Seizing papers. Is that a Fourth Amendment violation? Well, the DMV is probably going to argue that they had an administrative duty or some such to go seize all these documents. Well, the Fourth Amendment has been abridged a bit over the years, and it doesn't necessarily always mean what we think it means, but there are limits on it, and I know the Supreme Court has, made some rulings where sometimes they can go and violate, and sometimes they can't go violate. And that's really the problem with our country right now, is we all don't know what the Constitution means anymore because they keep changing the definition on it. I just want it to mean what the black and the white says. But Mr. James Robinson, he seized all those lien packets in order to start sending out these letters to people to deny them titles. Now, why would they want to deny them titles? Well, it doesn't make a lot of sense for me being a business person. But let's go back over here to the proposed regulations. Proposed regulations, they tell you down here, the purpose, to prevent fraud. Well, fraud's a bad thing. We'd want to prevent that, right? Well, in my records request, looking at 5 years of history, I think I only really saw one complaint against a tow company, and the fraud wasn't in the lien process. The fraud was where the owner of this towing company impounded this very nice car, and then the owner of this towing company started driving the car around or some such nonsense like that. So it wasn't at an auction where there was fraud or any of that process where there was fraud. But anyways, prevent fraud. That's a good thing, to prevent fraud. By clarifying lien claimants who obtain vehicles through parking violations, mechanics liens, consent and non-consent tows, and police impounds. And here's the key, this is the purpose, cannot profit through a lien sale to themselves. Now in the towing business, we clean up junk cars off your streets, abandoned motorhomes, garbage laying all around, and we try to process that, the good stuff that we try to sell back to the public, and the garbage stuff we send to the wrecking yard. But evidently, according to this regulation right here that they drafted and were proposing, the purpose of the regulation and these rules was so that small businesses like mine cannot profit through this activity. I started the business to profit. I need to profit or I can't pay my employees, I can't pay my insurance, I can't run this business. It's a very, very expensive business to run. As soon as my feet touch the floor in the morning, I spend $1,000 just on insurance. It's crazy how much it costs to deal with this. So anyways, do we see a violation of law in this first email that I'm demonstrating? Have I proven the case? Anyways, I'm going to make a lot more of these videos and go through a lot more information. And if you do think that the state of Nevada Department of Motor Vehicles, Mr. James Robinson, violated the law, well, let's see who violated the law. There were some people involved here. Jessica Vargas, Abby Allerman, Celia Mendoza, Shauna Dennis, Susie Dresky, And those are the people that I see listed here. And why is it important to list all those people? Well, because if they did commit a crime, it's Title 18 USC 241 and 242, I believe. Let's see here, USC 241, see what pops up. 18 is about conspiracy against rights, 2 or more persons, so it's a conspiracy. And that's why it's important, because we need to list all of the conspirators that have participated in violating our constitutional rights. Well, why is that important? Well, under the federal rules, they've got what's called the Pinkerton Rule. And what the Pinkerton Rule is a doctrine that imposes liability on a conspirator for all crimes or offenses committed in the furtherance of the conspiracy. So, based on my understanding, and I'm not a lawyer, everybody, I'm just a tow truck driver that built a business, employs some people, and tries to survive this world and take care of my family. But what this means is every single person involved at DMV, if this is a federal crime, can be held responsible for all aspects of it, is the way I'm reading the law. Anyways, what I'd like to see everybody is fill in those complaints, let the FBI know, let the Nevada Attorney Generals know. If we can send them a lot of complaints, perhaps eventually they'll listen to us and start making changes within our system. And we can, take Miss Julie Butler, and hopefully she can find another job with Mr. J.D. Decker and all of the people that were involved in creating unlawful regulations, enforcing them under the color of law, and not sending people their titles to vehicles, and costing people money. And worst of all, they've been doing criminal investigations on businesses and people all across the state of Nevada for laws that don't exist. I appreciate you listening. Like, subscribe, share this, and I'm going to be issuing a lot more of these videos, going through even more of their emails. Everybody, you have a nice day.